The style of movie making in the late 70s. Look at movies like Rocky, Taxi Driver, The Deer Hunter, The Godfather Part 2, Alien, Patton, Apocalypse Now, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jaws, The Exorcist, Star Wars. They weren't just thrown at you, the movies. They were more like real life. The way that the characters would say things that you wouldn't say in a movie nowadays, but you would say it in real life. Like, just look at Rocky, for example. He acted like a real person. Taxi Driver, to me, seems like it was real life because they acted like real people. They said things you would say in real life. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. These movies were done slowly. Like they were slowly developed as you watched them. You were watching real people. Even Star Wars, now you can say, well, it's not real life. But the movie was done like it was real life in that situation, as if the Star Wars universe was real. You see what looks like realism within that because the characters seem real. They're acting like real people and not actors. Their reactions are genuine. When the door is blown open and the stormtroopers start shooting them down. During this time period when they made movies, the actors became characters, the characters that they were portraying. They became them. Now, as time progressed, let's look at Rocky, for example. The way the first movie was made. Okay, like a real person going through this. And it was slowly developed. Now, when you look at Rocky 2, what they did is they had a hit, and now let's change this. And you can see it's the Hollywood and the money making to take something like Rocky and you make a sequel, and it starts to become more exploitive. And so you see that the movie takes shape. You're seeing that this is done in a way exploitive. Look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre and how that movie is more realistic than a lot of these other movies of that genre. Movies like Jaws and movies like Apocalypse Now, the people that were in the movies acted like real people because their reaction, the way that the characters interact with each other. Now, watching The Force Awakens, okay, by this time, movies had shifted towards becoming more processed. Now, because of the way that you were making movies at the end of the 70s and into the very early 80s, when Empire Strikes Back came out, there was that certain way of making movies. Movie making was more of an artistry. In the 90s becomes extremely processed in the way that they act. It's more like the existing for the movies, for the sake of the movie. And into 2000, when you watch this movie, this new Star Wars movie, Episode 7, The Force Awakens, I liked the beginning. They did it well. But once you get Han Solo and Chewbacca, and there's that monster, that's when the movie fell apart for me. And after that, I started to fall asleep, basically, because bro moments. It's all the Avengers and all these superhero movies. This is like how we make movies now. This is what people want to see. What's bro moments? Well, that's what I call it. But they're trying to be cool. Now, if you're being chased by a monster, how are you going to react? They're not reacting like a person in that situation would. If you're being chased by a monster, you should feel frightened to a certain extent. There should be there has to be like a feeling of peril within that and fragility within that character for it to seem like anything. It seemed like this monster is there just for like a comedy thing. Like this is supposed to be funny, basically, or more of a comedic aspect than really being chased by a monster. Because anybody that's being chased by something like that, it wasn't genuine, the reaction during that. And now the bro moments start to increase, and the reactions of the characters don't seem as genuine, and it seems more like this is the same process bullshit. Just this is the way we make movies now, and the people who make the movies, I think, were just because this is how movies are coming out now, and this isn't back in the 70s, that they are oblivious to that they're doing what's coming out. This is the way movies are made now, that this is probably what people are oblivious to, the Hollywood processing of these movies. And they don't feel like they're in peril, and it seems like just scenes are in there for different, say, okay, this is a comedic scene. Now, people can say, well, C-3PO was in the movie for comic relief. No, he wasn't being comic relief. That's just what he is. He's a robot that talks that way. So it was very obvious. He wasn't in there for comic relief in Star Wars, the first Star Wars film. And I don't, and even though he had his funny moments, it's not like cliche or overdone bullshit with this Hollywood processing. I thought they did the first part of the movie was well done, and I liked it. Okay, this is a well done movie. The bro moments were kept to a minimum, like flying through a spaceship and you're like trying to be cool, like instead of actually being like you would in a situation of peril. It's somebody who starts telling jokes or something at the moment, like don't, when they start telling jokes and trying to be cool and hip and all that. And they try to make that happen, I think, here in this movie on accident, because this is how movies are made nowadays, when they try to make a little funny comment here, not like people would make. If you look at how Rocky acts, and you can say, well, because he had brain damage or something. Okay, so we'll just look at Taxi Driver, how they act in that movie. They act like real people. Luke Skywalker acted like a real person. Han Solo acted like a real person. You can say, well, it's corny to act like a real person, because that's basically what people call cheesy, because of this realism of what they're not trying to act cool. Because once people start trying to act cool in movies and become this coolness that they try to paint over these things, and it's just this cliche bullshit, which to me that's cheesy, that's just there on accident because this is how movies are made. Like, look at the superhero movies, look at Tony Stark, how he acts. And I like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, but that's not how a real person would act. You can see the difference if you watch movies over time from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and into now. And after that, it's not as interesting because what you're watching is basically, instead of a character, you're going from a person to a processed Hollywood invention. Somebody whose life is in danger does not react that way. And then the next thing is that you find out that as this progresses, and it got really boring to me now, the Return of the Jedi didn't really affect anything, because when you see him and Han Solo and Leia kiss at the end, you see the ending, you see it looks like that they've accomplished something. But what did they accomplish? It looks like things worked out pretty badly. So this takes away from that when you watch the end of Return of the Jedi and the happy ending. Now, it doesn't seem like it really made so much of a difference, where it didn't work out too great for either of them. They did all that, they went through all that. What did it accomplish? So it's basically for the sake of building a new movie. That's what this is. That's what's happening here. This is like after World War II, another Hitler comes out. It's for the sake of making another World War III occur in the 60s. That's basically what this seems like. You conquer something, and we need it again to have another one. So this is kind of ridiculous, basically. The prequels were so bad is because the time period they were made. Jar Jar Binks being in that movie, that's how movies were being made at the time. He just did what, when in the 70s, he did, this is what the way people were making movies. In the 90s, he was influenced by the way people were making movies. That's why the original trilogy is so great, because that's how they were making movies. At the late 90s, this is how they were making movies. But people didn't like it because it was a Star Wars movie. But this is how they were making movies. Jar Jar Binks, this is just like the other characters in the stupid movies that were coming out at the time. It probably drew from the villain in Die Hard. Try to make the audience laugh. This is what people want. Try to make the audience laugh now. That's all we care about. So every movie has to have some character. I'm trying to make the audience laugh. Godzilla 1998. Just try to make the audience laugh the whole movie, I guess. So basically, this movie had too many bro moments in it. And I consider those the moments where they don't act like real, they're trying to be cool. And I call them bro moments. It could be the female actress, it could be the actor, the male actor, and it could be Han Solo, because this is not the same Han Solo. He's doing bro moments now. So they just, because people don't try to be witty and tell each other, like every line they try to be witty, or they try to, attract the audience to them. Like they're trying to attack, like the characters in the movies in Star Wars were not doing everything to try to attract the audience to them. Obi-Wan Kenobi was not doing everything trying to attract the audience to him. Han Solo, even as cool as he was not trying to attract the audience to him. Everything that he said and did in Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars, and Return of the Jedi. Although Return of the Jedi was the most processed Hollywood movie out of the three of the original trilogy. And you could see that the Ewoks were in it for to get kids excited about the merchandising maybe, as well as the actual movie. When we look at the Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, the characters in this movie, at points in the beginning there was not too much of it, but we're still trying to attract the audience to, like, what I'm doing is trying to attract the audience to me. And that's what I'm trying to do. When they stop acting like a real person and they're just acting like a script, they're acting like I'm trying to attract the audience to this character. This is what my actions are, is to attract the audience to me. So I try to be clever and talk with puns. And when I talk to you, I talk with Hollywood dialogue. When I'm speaking, I speak like a Hollywood actor playing a character. So I'm no longer the character. The actor is not becoming the character, but the character in the movie is becoming an actor. And that's the problem that I had with this movie and why it was not attractive to me. Not to mention, they're just making the movie for the fact of making another Star Wars movie instead of trying to do something completely original. Why can't something original happen? Like what happens in real life? You could have something original occur. It doesn't have to be the same exact thing. You could find a new enemy. There's so many different ways so many different ways for things to progress. And out of all the different opportunities, what you see here looks like Disney trying to be safe. What looks like J.J. Abrams trying to be safe. What this looks like is a safe future. This is safe. We're going with what's safe, but that's not good. Doesn't make, this isn't interesting. This isn't exciting to me. Now, I think people were so excited they wanted to have a good Star Wars movie. They did not want this movie to fail. A lot of people wanted that so badly that they give this movie, or they just see it that way. But I do not think this movie, and I know people will probably disagree with me, but I do not think this movie is going to age well. Maybe it will, but to me, this would seem too processed. This character trying to be witty, and you get your little chuckle, and it's not, to me, it's not funny when he's just trying to be funny. When he's trying to, hey, I'm attractive to you guys. You guys like this character? Hey, I got good things about me. Look at this. Look at me. I'm being funny. And look at C-3PO, how they changed him to try to be more as a comedic device. But you're hanging out with Robin Williams 100 miles per hour, and he's doing a comedy routine every few seconds. These are real people in these movies, in the first Star Wars movies, and they're less real people in Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back didn't have is one of the few sequels that doesn't have the Hollywood. This is your Hollywood sequel. Here you go, Hollywood. Like, just put the money on the screen when you're watching the movie. This is what this is. We're making money off this. This is what you're seeing from this. This is us trying to get your money. And Empire Strikes Back doesn't have that. Godfather 2 doesn't have that. So there's some sequels where you don't feel that. This, you can see, we're just trying to be careful here. So instead of seeing money here, I think, even though they're accidentally using the bro moment and stuff, it's like you should see, like, the heavy breathing. Oh, do they like this? Oh, let's be careful here and do this so that they like this. And that's what it feels like that is with this movie. Oh, do they like this? Well, this should go over with the audience, rolling the eyes side to side. And again, there's like a darkness after Return of the Jedi now, because that ending does not feel as satisfying now, because what did it accomplish? I mean, one of the main things is Han and Leia, them coming together. That felt great. Like, that was satisfying. Now there's less of that. And seeing the destruction of the Death Star, you thought that the end of the Empire after the Emperor gets thrown by Darth Vader, if you use this as a continuation, you're taking away from the light of that, the light at the end of the tunnel of that ending. And I don't think that in this, and we're just trying to be careful here with this, and that's not how history works, is that we're just trying to be careful. Imagine if in world history, we're just trying to be careful here to keep these people interested. We're just trying to be careful here with something so sensitive where with our fan base, we're not trying to rub anybody the wrong way. So let's just make something that everybody will like as much as possible. And that's not a good way to make a movie. That's what this movie is, and that's what it feels like you're watching, is people, is this movie trying to be careful. The characters in it, I hope this, did that go over well? And then you get to the end of the movie. Okay, so that went over well. That's what you're watching. So that went over well. Like, instead of seeing the money, that's what you see here. That went over well. And then, yeah, that was good. And when they get okay, it was good. It was good. Good ratings. We did good. This was a good movie, and we did good. And yay, we did it. Now compare that to the first Star Wars movie. That movie, we weren't trying to just be careful. We weren't just trying to make your money. That was a work of art. Whether it was incidental, whether actual, whether George Lucas was trying to make money doing it, this is still like a labor of love. You can see it in the movie. It was a work of art from top to bottom. The Empire Strikes Back is a work of art. And, people say, well, the lightsaber battles are better in the other movies. Well, that Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back against Luke in the end, the way they did that, you have that going through different locations of the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end of episode 3. Here, they move through that really awesome scenery that fits everything. And when Darth Vader comes out of nowhere, that one moment, and attacks Luke, if you're not paying attention or you're not even thinking about it, it's so striking. The way that they did that scene, it's just as good of a lightsaber battle as any of them, with everything that happened. Because even though, I mean, just because they're not hitting their lightsabers and doing gymnastic tricks doesn't make it better, just because they're doing flips and doing all this crazy shit. If you say about the bad aim of, people say the bad aim of the stormtroopers, well, if Luke has such powerful force powers, and if Leia has such powerful force powers, that when they're shooting at, if you ever notice, they've shot dead on a lot of times when they were shooting at other stuff besides, like at the beginning of Star Wars, they killed a lot of the resistance fighters, the rebels, when they came in, they shot them, and they had pretty good aim at that point. The droids, of course, they probably didn't want to shoot the droids, so maybe that's good aim too, that they didn't shoot them, because why, we're trying to shoot, they don't care about killing droids. Okay, so, but when they try to shoot Leia, they miss. Well, if her force power is so strong, can she accidentally deflect a laser blast that's going to kill her or somebody that she cares about, just because she wants that to happen? And she's accidentally using the force. Same thing with Luke Skywalker. And I think that covers a lot of the scenes, if not all of them, where you see and it probably doesn't cover all of them, but it might, of all of the bad aim of the stormtroopers, could be based on just the power of the force protecting them, just subconsciously, even because it's so powerful within Luke and Leia, because it was so powerful within their father. Was anybody thinking about that, really, the reason why? But at least you have an excuse you could put there as to why, when they say that they have such bad aim. And with Disney going to process these movies, I don't expect that anybody involved in this is going to actually want to create a film, but to create a product. So, is this going to be are they going to create a work of art, or are they going to create a product? Are they creating this thing based on fan service, and are they creating their Star Wars history based on fan service? Is this whole movie us being careful? And when does it turn to from us being careful? Okay, we're being careful. This is successful, to when you're watching it and you see the money. When you see that this is us trying to get your money. And we're trying to be careful to build this here. Now we're trying to get your money, because these movies, ultimately, this has become, it's just like YouTube. When YouTube started, and then once the corporate gets involved, and it changes YouTube. So does that make a superior movie? So this is hurting the Star Wars universe, in my opinion, of course. And the Star Wars universe was wounded by the passage of time with the Hollywood exploitation of hit movies, and this turning to making artistic project, from making a film to making money, to just making money. You know, you look at the top drawing from the box office. Was this a superior film? Well, it made more money. So what do you think that they would rather have? What do you think the people who make money, that's their job, to make money off something. Now you have divisions on how can we make money from this. You know, this is their job, to change this artistic, which isn't good for the fans. And the fans right now, this is the best you're gonna get, basically. That's what this movie is. Well, it was good enough. It's the best we could get right now. When with Star Wars, when you got The Empire Strikes Back, it wasn't like this is the best we can get. This is like, oh, they're gonna surprise us with something awesome.